My name is Paul Wolliver. I'm the owner of Pinellas Power Products, and this is the installation instructions for my connector kit that will allow you to use a fuel caddy such as this Duramax or Scepter's fuel caddies, any fuel caddy that uses a 1/2 inch inside diameter hose to deliver fuel with. Real quickly, I would like to touch on something before we get going too far here. If you're watching this video on YouTube and you want to get in touch with me because you have a question or something like that, please look in the description section of this video and you'll see that there's a link to my website, and my email address is paul@pinellaspowerproducts.com. So either email me or call me or something like that. Do not attempt to contact me through YouTube videos or through any of the chat rooms that you may find. I do not monitor them. I simply don't have time to monitor them. However, if you email me, you will get a response very quickly. If you would like to leave a comment that does not require a response, then please go ahead and leave a relevant comment on this particular kit. I do like the fuel caddies. Number one, they have wheels, and at my age, anything with wheels beats no wheels any day. It's a 14-gallon volume. It does not have the lift tube that the marine fuel tanks have. If you get a few minutes and you're on my website, watch the video explaining why I like fuel caddies, and it goes into some of the problems with the fuel tanks. But at any rate, let's go ahead and get started on this, and you'll see how it works. Okay, included in the kit, there's going to be a roll of Teflon tape, a quick disconnect fitting that matches to the prime bulb hose on my kits. You won't need to use this one because the kit came with one for the fuel tank end also. However, if you are using this as a second tank, or if you've lost yours, or plain and simple, if yours wore out, your kit will come with an additional quick disconnect fitting. It'll have a 1/2 hose bar, 2 clamps, and some heat shrink tubing. And the heat shrink tubing is not necessary, it just makes it look a lot cleaner. Okay, this is a Scepter, or excuse me, this is a Duramax fuel caddy. Scepter makes the fuel caddies, several different brands make them. As long as yours uses a 1/2 inch inside diameter hose, the installation procedure is quite simple. Go ahead and shut the fuel valve off, and that'll be right down here at the bottom. Some of the fuel tanks, or some of the fuel caddies, have 2 valves in a row, which that's a nice idea. So the first thing you'll do is go ahead and cut the hose at an appropriate length. And since the fuel hose included in my fuel kits is almost 10 feet long, it's 3 meters to be exact, which is like 9 feet, 9 inches, and so on. So I'm going to make this hose only about 1 foot long. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the hose. And we'll set this off to the side. Then take the roll of Teflon tape and wrap some tape around the threads of the quick disconnect fitting. And be very careful when you do that. Wrap the tape in such a way that it does not overlap the end. You want it to come up to the end, but if it overlaps like that, then it'll shear this piece off when you screw the hose barb on, and that'll get caught in the fuel system somewhere, usually in the fuel filter, but let's avoid that. So you'll put a few wraps of the Teflon tape on and pinch it off, and then screw the hose barb onto the quick disconnect fitting. Now take the heat shrink tubing that's included in the kit and just slide it on here and back out of the way a little bit. Then take the 2 hose clamps that are included in the kit and slide them on. And then you'll take the quick disconnect fitting with the hose barb and slide that into the end. Now, if you have a pair of nippers, which are cutters that are straight and flush, you can crimp these with the nippers. If you don't have a set of these, you can do it with the diagonal pliers. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and do it with the diagonal pliers just to prove that it can be done. I like these clamps because they're a nice clean looking clamp. I noticed that the Duramax kit has a worm drive clamp here at the tank end, which is a good quality a good quality clamp, but it's not very clean looking. So what we're going to do is we're going to crimp just a little bit on each side, and then we're going to turn and come back from this end, and that's because the diagonal pliers don't crimp parallel to each other, where the nippers, the jaw is parallel. So this requires us to make a few extra steps, but it also does not require you to go out and buy a set of expensive nippers, particularly if this is the only time that you would be using them. So that's the first clamp. Then slide the second clamp on and put the crimp 90 degrees of rotation. So the ears on the first one were here and here. So you want the ears on the second one to be here and here. And the same thing, we have to crimp it a little bit on the front and then on the back, and then go to the opposite ear and crimp it down so that it all goes down evenly, because we're using diagonal pliers instead of the flush nippers. Okay, so now both of the clamps are down tight and your hose barb is crimped into place. So now what we're going to do is we're going to slide the heat shrink tubing up over the clamps right to where the brass fitting starts, and then we're going to shrink this down. The only reason this heat shrink tubing is here is just to make it a cleaner look, and so your hands don't get cut. If it's pouring rain or something like that, it softens the skin up and your hands are more fragile. And it also looks nicer, unlike that. So we'll go ahead and heat this up, shrink it down. So you end up with a fairly professional looking connection. It will now snap on to the quick disconnect fitting that's on the tank. The other end will snap onto the quick disconnect fitting that's on the generator that you installed earlier. Straightforward, very simple. This kit includes everything that you're going to need to install it to a fuel caddy that uses a 1/2 inch inside diameter hose. Please check your fuel caddy and make sure that it is a 1/2 inch inside diameter hose before you go purchasing this set of connectors. I don't want customers dissatisfied because they've got the wrong size hose. If you'd like to get one of these connector kits, please go to my website and you'll find them listed there, as well as this video. And I've got another video that shows a lot of the reasons why I really prefer the fuel caddy over the fuel tank. It just eliminates a whole lot of problems, and I go into quite a bit of detail on the other video if you take a few minutes to take a look at that, as long as you're on my website. I thank you for your time.